That's unfortunate because we're all in a pretty good mood here. The music's also terrible. All right, let's dive in. We've got Tampering Monday. Get tampered. Signings are happening, and the Lions are on the board. So, look, we started today, and I was going to explain to you why I'm not mad about Jalen Ramsey. Because from everything I've gathered, Jalen Ramsey did not want to be here. And I take a look outside. Yep, I don't want to be here either. You can't blame a man for going to Miami. No state tax, and it don't look like this. Now, sure, your house may blow away or you might get eaten by an alligator on the back nine. But the point is,
that's what you got insurance for.
I can't be mad. Brad Holmes tried, and the reality is the Rams did for Ramsey what you did for Stafford. He did not want to be here. I cannot force a man to want to play for the Lions.
But you tried.
You did. And then you did the next best thing. And signing Cam Sutton, Steelers corner, 27 years old, he's essentially James Bradbury. If you vibe with PFF, they have the exact same grade. They were top 25 corners. Cam Sutton, prime of his career, 3 years younger than Bradbury. And I don't hate the cost, Rico. I don't. 3 at 33 with 21 guaranteed. That's not bad.
No.
And now it leaves one thing for me. One, go get me one of the high-level linebackers. I know we're probably not getting Bobby Wagner. Make the call. Levante David. Make the call.
Yeah, make him say no.
That's it. And if you come out of free agency where your two marquee signings are Cam Sutton at corner and someone who's a functioning linebacker, A+.
Yeah. Because sometimes it's when you see that deal and you're like, well, how did they get that person? They just asked. They went there and they made a deal.
Oh, you mean like your team?
Are we really doing this?
Bunch of spoiled bitches. 49ers out here signing Javon Hargrave.
You mean the team that just lost their quarterback?
Yeah. Hey, David, what's our new rule on this show?
What is it?
You don't.
No.
We don't have Jimmy
G. The salary cap is not real.
Thank you.
We don't have Jimmy G.
Niners just robbed the country of Guatemala. They're spending their national domestic product. All right, so look.
We lost a tackle.
No one cares. Hope your stadium collapses.
Wow.
So here's the deal.
Struggling.
I want to know where Lion fans are at with this. Cam Sutton is not a name a lot of people are going to know. You got to be a football nerd. But a starting corner for the Steelers, who David's not happy they lost. He's one of PFF's top 25 corners, and he graded out equal to Bradbury. That's a win. You know where I'm at. I told you from Jump Street. I'm signing a corner. No more nonsense with this corner at 6. Put it to bed. Great move. Sure, am I bummed that Ramsey didn't want to be here? Yeah. But what did they do? Brad Holmes went out and did the next best thing. Got a high-level player. Mm-hmm. And I'll be honest, Bradbury would be more expensive. Bradbury is 3 years older. I don't hate this. In fact, I like it.
I like it just because it's showing me that the Lions, because my biggest fear was they were just going to re-sign the old guys, bring the band back together again, and say, we'll find a way to make it work. Now, this is big boy stuff. Okay, we got rebuffed by this guy. Who's the next corner on the list? Pick up the phone. Let's call his agent. Let's try to work this out. And you did. So, yeah, they're actually going out and trying to improve the defense and not just re-signing all of their old guys, because you need a little more dudes on your defense. You need more people out there. So, yep, I like this.
And it keeps me from drafting a corner at 6.
That was never an option, but yes, I get what you're saying.
I just can't do it.
You were doing a solo show.
Yeah, this is how you run an organization. Rico, I mean this. If they sign a linebacker that we like, and whether it's Edmonds, whether it's Wagner.
It's big boy football.
Could they possibly call Bobby Wagner?
You could call. You see what the price is. You see what do you need to do.
Bobby Okereke.
Can we make this work? We got a lot of draft capital. What can we do? How much do you need? Let's work this out.
If they are one linebacker away from setting the table this offseason in a very nice way. Very nice way. You improve each level of your defense. You're going to go with a big person who kills people at 6. You got yourself a linebacker at level 2, and you got yourself a corner in free agency at the 3rd level. And look, if they doubled down and wanted to get into the safety market, I wouldn't have a problem with that either. But that's going to cost you a hell of a lot of money. You start talking about signing guys like Bates and Poyer, etc. I want to know where Lion fans are at. Is this thing on?
And then somewhere in the 2nd round, Drew Sanders will be available.
Done. This is how it's done. I'm thrilled. So for all the people who had convinced themselves of taking a corner they never watched from Oregon at 6, maybe we can let that go now. Maybe. 248-539-9797. Why are you looking at me that way? Are you still reeling for my Captain America take pre-show? We'll get to that later.
No, but that was so interesting. As I always tell my students, I love interesting, different perspectives. You, my friend, offered the best perspective on Captain America that nobody ever thought of.
I'm here. Yes, we'll get to the tournament.
I was just thinking about my team has no quarterback.
Got it. We'll get to the tournament. We'll get to Michigan State. We'll talk brackets. We're going to get a whole week to do it. But the Lions signing a player, and I'm not overselling here. I'm not saying you just signed Ronnie Lott. But Cameron Sutton's a very good football player. He's a guy I'd be happy to have as a Giant, tell you that much.
I mean, you improved your secondary. Now you out and your D-line was already there. You could address that in the draft if you want. But, yeah, you go get an adult. You upgrade that linebacking core so much so that a guy like Rodriguez comes in on specialized downs. He's not out there for every down. You got your opportunity. This goes back to what I've been saying. You're already in your window, Lions fans. None of this will next year or in a couple of years will be. You're there. You got close. You opened that window. And now you probably got 3 years to really capitalize and make that push for the Super Bowl. And you're not going to do it sitting around just doing nothing. Today's show, Holmes is attempting to do something that I often thought was maybe the weakest of his job. He wasn't always that great at free agency. He was okay, but he's been aggressive.
Yeah. Now follow it up. This is the thing. He must deliver a linebacker in free agency. If you do it, it's an A. Period. We're good.
Or is you? And maybe that green dot linebacker.
Yeah, you want the guy wearing the headset. I know. Look, it's why I can only offer the ideas of what I want. I sat here bringing up the Ramsey stuff for weeks, and it got to a point, and I talked to somebody decently close to the situation, guy didn't want to be here. That's okay. Jalen Ramsey's earned the right to kind of pick where he wants to play. And you don't want a guy who's unhappy in a deal.
See, here's the thing about Jalen Ramsey. In the event that things didn't go the way that he thought and the Lions weren't that super competitive,
could have been a disaster.
We'd be trying to deal him next year. Or just, You know what, dude, just pulling the Allen Iverson. We're just going to pay you.
Well, here's the other thing. Realistically, they could go out. If this linebacker market looks like it's going to be a little lower, they could get their linebacker and corner for the same price as Jalen Ramsey. Ramsey was basically going to cost you $22.5 million full. $22 million, you're going to get Sutton and a linebacker.
Yeah.
And then, yes, we're going to draft a corner.
NFL
we're just not doing it
deal.
at 6.
What about Gonzalez?
It's absurd. People attach themselves to players they've never watched. It's so stupid.
Did you ever watch any Pac-12 football?
Well, no.
But, I've heard he's great. And did you see what he ran at the Combine? Yeah, okay.
This is what happens. Fans attach themselves to mock drafts, which, by the way, are never accurate. Then when their team doesn't draft a player from an inaccurate projection, they end up disappointed. It's this weird bias thing that builds. If you don't watch the games, keep an open perspective. Draft good football players and then see if they're good. It's like recruiting. I don't know. Let me know when a kid puts the helmet on. I'll tell you if he's any good.
Everybody gets bent out of shape. We lost this guy. He's going to this school. 3 years later, he's in the portal, and he's finishing up his career at Kent State.
That's no way to talk about Kevin Grady. 248-539-9797. David, you're a Cameron Sutton guy. He was a Steeler. You said some things that are not acceptable in church pre-show. What exactly is your take?
I thought that was Robo-Preacher.
I do want to give Lions fans a few stats here, some things to think about, Cameron Sutton is a really good player. So on the surface, I need you to understand, Lions fans, what he's done in his career. He had 6 years in Pittsburgh, got better every year. And last year, after we got rid of Joe Hayden, he became the #1 corner, and his numbers improved the best in his career. 47.9% was a completion percentage when passes were thrown his way. Okay? So he was had 32 just 32 receptions on 72 targets against him. 4th lowest in a season since 2016. He is a good cornerback, guys. What I will worry about, though, is could it possibly be it was a contract year? So
always worry.
Could you worry about that? Yes.
Yeah, that's free agency.
But
buddy.
he's a solid, very, very solid cornerback for you guys. But if you have to pair it up. You do have to pair it up.
So is he a solid #1 or is he a #2?
I think he's a #2. He can be a #1 if he has to, but
here's the problem.
He's better at #2.
You got 2 #2s.
Correct.
Yeah, here's the thing, though, fellas. Realistically, let's say you wanted, like I wanted Jamal Dean. I think he was way better than Davis on the other side in Tampa. But Dean could cost not quite double, but Dean could cost a lot more. Here's the other thing. How many #1s are in this league?
Not that many.
Like, who's a #1 corner? Sauce Gardner. Okay, there's one. Jair Alexander. There's 2. Who else? You want Jalen Ramsey?
Jalen, put him there.
There's 3. How many?
Not a ton.
Let's say true #1s in this league. Lead dogs that are race people. 7 or 8? If you're not that.
You're right. It's probably like the elite quarterback. Not a ton.
Right.
But you got a lot of serviceable QBs.
Put a couple good corners out there. If you have an elite front 7 and elite pass rush, you know what that does for good corners?
I was about to say.
It makes them great.
And now you're the Eagles. Now you're the Niners. If you could rust a QB,
that's right.
Your 2 #2s don't have to cover as long and can make an occasional big play, and you're all right.
Which is why we draft people at 6 that kill people. Not literally.
So now at 6, we could go after Bijan Robinson.
I leave. Kindly leave. 248-539-9797.